Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're exploring what is essentially the ultimate battleground of the modern market. Think about it. Every single day, you are making purchasing decisions. You're buying groceries, grabbing electronics, downloading a new app, or paying for a service at home. You are the literal engine of the economy. But in a marketplace that is growing incredibly complex, super dynamic, and let's be honest, sometimes downright deceptive, how protected are you really? So today we're going to unpack the actual realities of consumer protection, the hidden pitfalls of the market, and some pretty powerful rights you possess that you might not even know you have.
To really ground our explainer today, I want to start with this incredibly powerful quote from Mahatma Gandhi. He famously pointed out that a consumer is the most important visitor on any premise. He's saying that businesses depend entirely on us, the buyers. And in a perfect, idealized economic theory, the consumer is absolutely the king of the market. All production, all manufacturing, the whole shebang, it's all supposed to be geared toward maximizing your satisfaction. But keep this beautiful, idealized vision in the back of your mind, because as we move through this, you're going to see a really stark, almost jarring contrast with what the reality of today's market actually looks like. Because here is the reality we actually face every day. It's a classic David versus Goliath scenario. Just picture a scale. On one side, there's a single, unorganized consumer. They're standing there alone, looking a bit confused, totally disconnected from other buyers, and just unaware of these complex market rules. And on the other side of that scale, a massive, highly organized business conglomerate is just pushing down heavily. When we as consumers are widely scattered, the sellers hold all the cards. They have the money, the influence, the huge legal teams. One individual just can't fight that alone. But if thousands of those disconnected consumers suddenly step forward, join hands, and form a solid organization, that scale balances out immediately. Strengthening unity is literally how we handle unchecked corporate power. Now imagine you're standing at a retail counter and you're holding two identical-looking smartphones. One is the real deal, high quality, genuine. The other is a cheap and maybe even dangerous imitation. Looking at them just with your naked eye, can you spot the fake? This right here highlights a massive information gap. Tracking the truth nowadays is incredibly difficult. We're completely flooded with domestic and imported products, and there's a really alarming rise in spurious or duplicate goods. Without reliable data before you buy, an ordinary consumer is essentially flying blind. So the crucial point we need to understand is this. The modern market is deliberately riddled with pitfalls designed to exploit that exact lack of information. Consumers are scattered, and frankly, a lot of us are just ignorant of our actual rights or true market prices. And that ignorance, it makes us super easy targets. We end up facing artificial scarcity, black marketing, and rampant product adulteration. When we don't know the rules of the game, unethical and monopolistic trade practices just thrive. It turns us into victims of a system that, quite often, prioritizes a quick profit over safety and honesty. And perhaps the absolute most common trap of all is the classic misleading advertisement. We've all seen this, right? Step one, you're watching a flashy commercial, and it's promising instant youth with this beautifully lit, glowing cosmetic cream. It looks amazing, so you buy it. Then, step two, you unpack the box at home, and what actually falls out? A dull gray container with defective packaging. It's an inferior good that looks nothing like the ad and honestly might not even be safe to use. This bait and switch is the perfect example of why there's such an urgent need to stop deceptive marketing and legally protect buyers from fraud. But it really doesn't have to be this way. Let's look at the trusteeship model. This is a brilliant concept rooted in Gandhian socioeconomic philosophy. Imagine a wealthy merchant sitting right next to a massive storage chest, and the chest is labeled society's wealth. Now, instead of locking it away purely for his own monopolistic gain, this merchant distributes the benefits directly to the local residents. The core idea is that business owners are just acting as trustees, stewards of public wealth. The wealth they generate should actually be used for the welfare of the people. It's a completely different paradigm for how business could and maybe should operate. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the date highlighted here, March 15th. That is World Consumer Rights Day. Way back on March 15th, 1962, U.S. President John F. Kennedy actually formally declared certain fundamental rights for consumers, and that sparked a whole global movement. So this isn't just some ceremonial date on a calendar. This represents the actual legal shield we have against market exploitation. It's a great reminder that your consumer rights are a legally backed part of your day-to-day life, designed to stop you from being cheated. So let's briskly walk through what this shield actually looks like. You've got 10 fundamental rights. There's the right to safety, keeping you away from hazardous products. The right to information means you literally deserve to know the price, ingredients, and expiry dates. The right to choose means no forced monopolies, you get to pick. The right to be heard ensures companies actually have to listen to your complaints. You have the right to consumer education just to understand these laws in the first place. The right to represent means you can stand before a forum without needing some fancy lawyer. The right to redress, absolutely crucial. It means you can get fair compensation. Plus, you have the right to a healthy environment and specific rights shielding you from unfair practices and those dangerous spurious goods we mentioned earlier. However, and this is a big however, having your rights written down on a piece of paper is really only half the battle. This whole equation requires balance. On the left side, yes, we have your consumer rights, those legal protections from the government. But on the right side, we have consumer responsibilities. The law can only do so much if you aren't actively participating. Being a protected consumer is not a passive thing. It requires active caution, vigilance, and real effort from you every single time you buy something. So, what do these responsibilities actually look like in your daily life? First off, you have to actively use your rights. If someone cheats you, you can't just let it slide. You need to be a cautious, pre-planned consumer. Know what you need instead of just impulse buying. If something's wrong, it is your duty to file a complaint promptly before the warranty expires. You've got to be quality conscious too. Don't just buy something because it's dirt cheap. Look for official safety symbols like ISI or AgeMark. Be super skeptical of those exaggerated ads. And this is a big one. Always demand an invoice and a guarantee card, because without those, your legal fight is pretty much over before it starts. And finally, support consumer organizations. They're out there fighting for all of us.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where you take those invoices when things do go wrong. Under the Consumer Protection Act of 2019, they established this incredibly efficient, three-tier quasi-judicial system. Basically, these are specialized courts just for consumer disputes, designed to be fast and cheap. At the local level, you have the District Commission for claims up to 1 crore rupees. Need to appeal or have a bigger claim? You move up to the State Commission, which handles 1 to 10 crore rupees. And at the very top, for massive disputes over 10 crore, you go to the National Commission in New Delhi. This whole hierarchy just makes getting legal redressal highly organized and instantly accessible for regular folks. But hey, consumer protection isn't just about courtrooms. It actually starts right in your own kitchen. Let's look at some highly actionable and honestly surprising facts about everyday grocery adulterants. Did you know you can run quick sensory tests at home? Seriously. For milk, if you rub it between your fingers and it feels soapy, or if it has a bitter aftertaste, it might be synthetic. If you rub a little sugar on your palm and it smells like ammonia, there's a good chance it's been adulterated with urea. And chili powder? Mix it in water. If the residue feels gritty, you might literally be eating brick powder. If it feels overly smooth and soapy, it's probably talcum powder. This just proves how incredibly practical and vital your daily vigilance can be. So, we've covered the pitfalls, the laws, the court systems, and even a little bit of kitchen table chemistry. The modern market is an incredible place, for sure, but it is definitely not without its risks. The tools to protect yourself are out there, but they're completely useless until you actually pick them up and use them. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. Next time you step into the market, whether you're at the mall or just checking out online, are you going to be an unorganized, unaware buyer at the complete mercy of the seller? Or are you going to be an informed consumer ready to wield your rights and demand the quality you absolutely deserve? Thank you so much for exploring this with me on The Explainer today. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and always remember, you are the purpose of the market.